Good morning, team, and welcome to Friday Flex, the locker room edition. Today it is June 5th, and what we do here at the Friday Flex is my co-host, Aaron Charles, and co-founder of Blueprint Blue Chip. What we kind of do is we kind of just sum up the week's current events in this world of sports. Everything from professional, collegiate, high school, and anything in between that seems relevant to us. One of the things that we've loved and we've talked about, what Aaron and I have talked about off screen, was the fact that there are so many sports programs that kind of pontificate and the hosts like to hear themselves talk. We don't do that. We get straight to the core of the issues. And something you will not see here is any race baiting nonsense or any woke nonsense. What we do is we get right into the issues at hand. I'm 58 years old, soon to be 58 years old, and I've been working full time for 40 years, and never have I seen anything on the landscape of, the race baiting and woke agenda. So you're not going to see that here, and we're not going to get into that. What we are going to get into is an introduction of my co-host and co-founder, Aaron. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. What an incredible week it's been. Lots happening in the sports world, which is awesome. We love it.
Yep. As we get into June, three things that are really standing out, and we're going to address them all. The NBA Finals Game 1, last night, Stanley Cup Finals Game 2, and then the Lady Longhorns won the College World Series, badass. And then what we're going to do is get into what Aaron and I believe is going to be the next big thing for women athletics, and that's flag football, and we're going to close out with NIL. It's not so much we'd love to hear ourselves talk, but we do have an opinion. We'd love for you to drop your opinion in each segment in the notes or simply reach out to us at blueprintbluechip.com. Aaron, let's get into the first slide, which is the NBA Finals.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
Yep, where we have the New York Knickerbockers against the San Antonio Spurs. I'm super excited about this simply because I love to see new blood when we get into the finals. Knicks haven't been there in quite some time. I don't think they've won an NBA championship since '73. Spurs had a good run with Popovich and with David Robinson and Tim Duncan, Parker, Ginobili, et cetera. But now we have some new blood in there, and they're back in the finals. Game 1, the Spurs were dominating until I think it was the last 5-10 minutes where the Knicks went on a 11-0 run to win the game by 10 points. And this is kind of a foreshadowing what to expect. This is just going to be a knockdown, smash ball, smash mouth basketball. I'm super excited about it. We're going to game 2 tonight. What are your thoughts, Aaron, on game 1?
It's exciting. You got some young stars in Wembanyama. Just a talented guy. The guy can, the Spurs guy that's, ginormous, tall guy, but so agile, can shoot really anywhere on the court. It's quite unbelievable to watch him. And then Jalen Brunson just, totally lit it up in the first game. So I know he started the debate, is he the greatest Knick to ever play? Well, we'll find out if they can close it out and win a championship. But I think, when you said they hadn't won since '73, I think it just highlights the amount of everything has to come together at the right time for teams to win these championships. It's not fluke. It's not luck. There's a culture of winning. You got to have a great coach. You got to have the right team assembled. You got to be selfless. Everybody's got to know their role, play their role. And so that's why I love NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Finals, all of them, because it's a culmination of, I think, the grit and grind to get to that level.
Absolutely. I believe a couple of these Knicks are Wildcats, not Arizona Wildcats, but Villanova. I got to put in my Arizona plug as often as I can. It's super exciting to watch these young kids that I believe they won a championship at Villanova, and now they're knocking on the door of winning a championship with the NBA Finals. One of the things that I've always loved about the championship series, whether it's the NBA, Stanley Cup, MLB, or the NFL, this is where the true essence of the athlete comes out. And what I mean by that is, in the past, I've had the opportunity to have conversations with World Series winners, NFL, Super Bowl champions, and everything in between, where they said they would forego their their salary, and that's a lot of money, to get a ring. So this is where these kids are playing with their heart, they're playing with their passion, and they're playing with the competitive spirit of the game, and that's what I love to watch. But there's still a lot of basketball to play. We're only in game one. We have game two tonight. We will touch on that next week because I'm sure we'll have a champion by then. Let's get into the next slide here, Aaron, unless there's something you would like to add.
Nope.
Cool.
I don't even know who I'm cheering for. Let the best man win.
Yeah, I don't have a dog in that fight. I really don't. The Haters Guide Stanley Cup Finals. Last night was epic. Aaron and I were working last night, late into the night. When I say late into the night, 7:30 for me, but Aaron was till 10:30. She's just programmed and built different. She's got the stamina. But last night, what we were watching is at the end of the second period, the Golden Knights were up 2-0 going into the third period, and the Hurricanes came back and won game two. Epic hockey. And that's something that is so beautiful about sports, is it's never over. I mean, Aaron, we should just do a whole segment on comebacks. I mean,
we should.
Yeah, I mean, this game, this is now it's tied at 1-1, and I really do believe this could be a momentum shift for the Hurricanes, and it could really test the grit of the Golden Knights, because to be up, I mean, so hard to score a goal, let alone four. I think they won 4-3 last night. So to come back and score four goals in one period, I mean, sometimes teams don't even score four games and four goals in 4 games. So to do it in one period is remarkable. So we're tied at 1-1. And again, I don't have a dog in this fight. I will just give you a little backstory. I didn't really get introduced to hockey until I was in college, and one of my roommates was an ice cat down at Arizona, and I thought it was just absolutely remarkable. And then my ex-wife was from Canada, spent a lot of time going to the Canadiens games, and that's when I really understood what hockey is. It's remarkable. So these are remarkable athletes, these remarkable franchises. I'm excited to see where this goes. Aaron, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I love hockey. I think there's kind of that argument of like, is it one of the toughest or hardest sports to play? In my opinion, yes, you're on ice, you're on skates. I mean, you have to be incredibly agile, hand-eye coordination with the puck. I mean, it's fun to watch. I will say I'm an Avs fan. I got into the Avs when they moved to Denver. Got to go to a couple of their games when they were actually competing for the Stanley Cup with Joe Sakic, Patrick Waugh, Peter Forsberg. It's electric. It is I think it's one of the funnest sports to watch in person because it just moves so fast. And the other thing is I think it really highlights is it takes the whole team to win the game. There isn't, some sports you can have somebody take over. And not that they're not all team sports, but I mean, hockey really requires everybody doing their job all the time or you lose the game. So I'm excited. I, again, have no dog in the fight. I just love good games. I mean, it's been wild. The parts that I've watched when I've been able to catch it, it's thrilling. I mean, they skate fast, they play fast. And man, those goalies, they've got a lot of shots coming at them. So it's going to be it means they've got more games to play, and it should be electric.
No doubt. Well, we'll keep you posted on that one, team. Next Friday, we'll definitely get into it because I think we'll have a champion there. Speaking of champions, UT Lady Longhorns, badass. This is 2 years in a row. They're building a dynasty. They're on a streak. Also, it was against Texas Tech, and we're going to get into a little bit later. But both of these teams, as well as a handful of other college World Series, softball, they're spending a lot of money on these players. And something that Aaron brought up in a conversation a week or two ago that I thought was very interesting. She shared, with respect to NIL, the women get paid NIL deals based on performance, where the men get paid on potential. And I can't think of anything more true. Go into more detail about that, Aaron.
Well, I mean, we're going to she's on the screen right now. Tegan Caban, back-to-back World Series, back-to-back most valuable player each year. Got an NIL deal this year from Nike for a little over $1.2 million. I mean, just highlights. I think more women. I mean, she was amazing. The pitcher, obviously, If you watch softball, if you watch, they're the captain, they're the one in control. They're setting the tone for the game, but she needs those 8 other players. Her catcher, which is Reese Atwood, which is on the other side of the screen here, unbelievable player. She got drafted into the Professional Women's Softball League, which will start, I believe, next week. It's really fast after this. But these women, I mean, just top-notch talent. Can hit, can run, can throw. I mean, just unbelievable skills. And so kudos to Tegan Cavan. What an incredible World Series. She came in, she shut the game out because, to close it out and win. That's not usually her role, but just unbelievable. And I think on the other side, Texas, you talk about comebacks, the Texas Red Raiders to get to the World Series. They were in a game, I think they were down 8 runs, 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. They only play 7 innings for those that don't know softball, and 2 strikes, and they rallied and came back to win the game. And when they're in these World Series, they're in elimination. So if you don't win, you're out for the most part, or it's double elimination. So, and kudos to both these teams that made it to the championship. They actually had to battle through double elimination to even get there. So what an incredible week. Some of the best softball I've seen. Just hats off to all the ladies, all the women, and especially to Texas. And we'll see, can you three-peat next year, or is Oklahoma going to rally, come back stronger? I mean, there's just a lot of great programs, a lot of great players. And I think softball is just going to continue to become one of those sports for women that you'll see rising.
Well, you know a lot about softball. Why is that underhand?
Oh, geez, I wonder why. My daughter plays softball. So I would say behind football, which is what Jake plays, my son plays, softball probably actually is my first love because I understand the game a little bit better. But it's in our blood. Peyton and I were laughing. She got to meet Nigeri Kennedy, which actually was the first woman that really got a big NIL deal moving from Stanford down to Texas. She pitched incredible. I mean, these are talented women. You may not win, but it's not like they played bad or were overrated and got paid money. That was not the case. They fought their heart out. So she got to meet her. We were both pulling for the Texas Red Raiders last night to at least push it to a game 3. But Texas just had too much for them. And I think it's just, I love it. I truly love softball.
No doubt. Well, congratulations, Lady Longhorns. And now we're going to get into women's flag football. This is growing exponentially. And one of the reasons why I love this so much for women is if you know about my past, my brothers and I, we all played football in high school and college. And we had an older sister, and our older sister at 17 was diagnosed manic depressive schizophrenic. So for 40 years, she battled mental health issues. That's a whole nother topic that we could actually get into, is just about mental health as it pertains to sports in America at the youth level, high school, college, and the pros. But what I want to do is I want to shine some light on these ladies. And the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because even though my brothers and I were very successful athletes, the true best athlete in the family was my sister. She was a phenomenal volleyball player, phenomenal track, phenomenal baseball until she was diagnosed. So we're about to see, especially with the 2028 Olympics, some of these women are going to shine, and they are just going to be highlight reel after highlight reel, both here and the other sports programs that you watch on TV. So I'm excited to see how it grows. Erin and I, Erin's in Salt Lake, I'm in Denver. She splits time, but I'm starting to see a lot of high school teams embrace it. And I've been to a couple of lady flag football tournaments, and I've just seen some incredible, epic talent and athletes. What are your thoughts, Erin?
I'm excited. I'm excited for women's sport. I'm excited to see this on the rise. More and more NCAA programs are sanctioning it. They're going to have it as part of their program. Obviously, we have the 2028 LA Olympic Games where flag football will be contested for both men and women. And I think it's just going to catch wildfire. And I think we'll get to showcase, I think, how incredible women athletes are. It's going to showcase a whole different skill set. You know, softball's different than basketball. And this is going to, I think, offer women that have a different skill set to really showcase who they are. And I'm super excited about that.
No question. No question. Awesome. As we move from women's flag football, we're going to get into the NIL update. I trust a lot of you are watching this. I'm watching it closely. I'm not getting too deep into the politics because I have an opinion about this, and my opinion, is worth not much because things are going to change every day, every week with NIL. But Nick Saban, college football royalty from Alabama, has won a handful of national championships. Has said here, as you can see, all things that I believed in for these years, 50 years of coaching no longer exist in college athletics. It is so true. I don't even want to get into the details of where we're at right now, but I truly believe, with Blueprint to Blue Chip, one of the things we do, what started off as a high school mentorship program, making sure the athlete, the family, and the coaches are all aligned and the pistons are firing. And we've had tremendous success with that. When my brothers and I were playing, there was no NIL. We were aware of the $100 handshakes, but that was kind of wink, wink, and your boosters and alumni. Now it's just we have athletes that are just motivated by money, and it's going to really tarnish the game. The transfer portal is out of control. In the past, if you transferred within D1, you had to sit for a year, or you had to drop down to D2 in order to play. I truly subscribe to that. And I think the only caveat that you can have is if you're recruited by a coach and that coach leaves, you do have the opportunity to leave because you bought into his program, not necessarily the university. So it's kind of a little gray area. I do subscribe to that. Aaron and I don't pretend to be NIL agents or expertise, and we certainly don't pretend to be agents or lawyers on how we can advise, but we do have in our portfolio. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about is making sure these athletes are set up for success financially, not just mentally, not just athletically, but financially. I don't think an athlete needs more than $5 to $10 a month. That is an exorbitant amount of money, even for my standards. If I had $5 to $10 a month, I'd be a pretty happy camper. But for these athletes, I think what should be set up, but it's not the responsibilities of the universities or the NCAAs to micromanage and the finances of these athletes. But I truly believe the way it should be structured is that money is put into a 401 or that money's put into a retirement that you can't touch. That's what we always subscribe. That's one of the things Aaron and I talk about with these athletes is you don't need that much money, especially if you're on scholarship. And especially if, everything's taken care of for you at that university. You don't need the bling. You don't need the cars. You don't need to take care of your friends. You don't need to take care of your family necessarily. But, I'm going to get a lot of haters jumping in on this one. But, Aaron, what's your opinion on the NIL transfer portal and everything NIL?
Everything NIL. I think, I agree with Nick Saban. And I know they're working. He testified before Congress this week supporting the Protect College Sports Act. We obviously had the executive order that came out, I want to say back in April, that kind of sets the tone for, I think, trying to clean this up because it really has become, I think, as we say, the wild, wild west. Like we've lost complete perspective of sports, what sports teaches you, the youth development of these young athletes. Why strive to get to college if it's starting to just become a money game, and it's eroding, I think, not only the games themselves, but we're doing detrimental harm to these young men and women because they're starting to tie their worth to these deals, to this money, chasing the next deal. And so I think there's some big long-term ramifications that nobody knows about, nobody's talking about, because this has all transpired within the last few years. So I am concerned. I'm concerned that we need some regulation. I'm concerned that we're spending big money. As I get ready to send my daughter off to university, I'm concerned that we've lost sight of what these universities are for. They're learning institutions. Football, sports are great, but we're eroding the foundation of our educational system. I mean, there's a whole magnitude of things we could spend all damn day on. But I think somebody's got to step in. Somebody's got to get this wrangled in. We've got the University of Utah that just took $500 million in private equity. Well, now a private equity owns the athletic department, aka it's becoming a business. It's not part of the educational system or institution anymore. What do you think's happening in Utah? There's layoffs. They're going to run and operate these athletic departments like businesses. So that means you got to cut the fat. And restructure and all those things. So in other hands are in play. It's like being in a corporation and having board of directors and people you answer to that aren't just inside your organization. So something's got to happen because we've got to get back to the foundation of why this even exists. And this is for the development of these young men and women into incredible leaders through the avenue of sports. So that's my high-arching 2 cents. We got to get this wrangled in.
Agreed. Well, team, everything sports, Friday Flex, we try to get in, get out, and share with you the week's current events, and that's exactly what we touched on. I'm sure there's so much more that we could touch on, but we want to be respectful of your time. Thanks for tuning in, and next week, we will get into more current events, obviously the championships. And again, I'm Thomas Rowe, Aaron Sarles, my co-host and co-founder of BlueprintBlueChip.com. We are an agency or a company that works with athletes, families, and coaches to make sure that everyone is set up for success. And the 2 things we subscribe to, amongst many, is 1, we want to make sure you have enough information to make an informed decision. And 2, we want to make sure that everything we work on and focus on is being proactive, not reactive. Team, have a fantastic Friday and a great weekend. We'll see you next Friday.